What's going on, you guys? Today we're going to be learning the song Mr. Doctor Man by Palaye Royale. And I must say, this song rocks. Real quick before we get into it, I would like to ask that if you find this guitar tutorial helpful, that you please subscribe. That would really mean the world to me. Now let's get into it. You are watching Logan's Lessons. Let's start with the main riff. We start on the 12th fret of our low E string, and I would suggest that we hit that with our ring finger. And you pluck that string twice, just like this. Then what you do is you hammer on from the 10th fret to the 12th fret of your A string. Do that with me. One more time. Good. We then hit the 10th fret of our low E string, down, up, down. Like that. So let me stress the rhythm of that. Down, so far. Do that with me. Then right here we play the 12th fret of our A string downwards to the 10th fret of our A, the 12th fret of our low E, and the 10th fret of our low E. Let me do that again for you. It's the 12th fret of your A string down to the 10th fret of your A string, 12th fret of the low E string, and then the 10th fret of our low E. And that's quite fast. Do that with me slowly. Again. Faster now. Faster yet again. One more time. Good. So now in context. Do that one more time. We then travel on down to the 7th fret of our low E string, which you play downwards twice, just like the 12th fret, the first 12th fret. That. Right there, we quickly pick the 10th fret of our A string using our pinky upwards. Okay, so then you hit the 7th fret again. Like this. I'll do that in context. And now if I do it slowly. Do that with me. One more time. And then we go up to the 8th fret, which we do a down, up, down. And then right here, what we do is we slide up from the 10th fret of our A string up to the 12th. And then you hit the 10th fret again. So, the whole thing being. Do that with me. Faster. Faster again. One more time. Now the second time through that you play that, it changes just slightly at the end. Instead of doing that thing, the down, up, down on the 8th fret and then sliding up like we did, we just simply hit the 8th fret and let it ring out. So the second time through will sound like this. Like so. Do that with me. Now the whole intro all together will sound like this. Do that with me. Great, so that gets us into the first verse. For the first verse, we are just playing root notes, not dissimilar to what a bass player would be playing. And this is all on the low E string, by the way. We start on the 12th fret, and the picking pattern is a down, down, up, down, up. Down, down, up, down, up. And then you travel down to the 10th fret, down to the 7th, up to the 8th. So down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, going from the 12th fret to the 10th, 7th, 8th. And you do that twice. So then you get into the pre-chorus. The first pre-chorus, we're just strumming out chords. The first of which is an E minor chord. To play an E minor chord, we will place our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A string. and our third finger on the second fret of the D string. Let it ring out for a minute. Then we go on to an A minor chord. To play an A minor chord, you're going to place your middle finger on the second fret of your D string, your third finger on the second fret of your G string, and your first finger on the first fret of your B string. So that's an A minor chord. Third chord we have is a C major chord. To play a C major chord, you're going to place your third finger on the third fret of your A string, your middle finger on the second fret of your D string, and your first finger on the first fret of your B string. And then finally, we have a B major chord. To play a B major chord, you're going to place your first finger on the second fret of your A string, and then with your third finger, you're going to bar across the fourth fret of your D, G, and B strings. So that's a B major. So you have an E minor, an A minor, a C major, to a B major. First time through those chords, you just strum them all out like that with just one big down strum or up strum for each chord. I like to alternate between down strum and then a big up strum. Just make it dramatic whichever way you go. The second time through, though, for the B major, we're gonna do a down, up, 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 down. Kind of like that, just crescendoing into the chorus. That drops us into the chorus, and I love what they did with the chords here. The first chord we have starts with our ring finger on the 9th fret of our D string. Our pinky finger right below that on the 9th fret of our G string. Our middle finger on the 8th fret of our B string. And our index finger on the 7th fret of our high E. So that's the first chord. Let's talk about picking pattern now. We play high E string, B string, G string, D string, G string, B string, high E string, B string again. Like that. Do that with me? And that picking pattern stays consistent throughout the chorus. So, one more time. So then our second chord starts with our ring finger on the 10th fret of our D string. Just slide it up one fret. Our middle finger on the 9th fret of our G string. And then our first finger bars across the 8th fret of our B and high E strings. That's what the second chord should sound like. Now if I apply the picking pattern to that. Good, so now in context with the first chord. One more time. Very, very good. The third chord we have starts with our ring finger on the 7th fret of our D string. And then our first finger just bars across the 5th fret of our G, B, and high E strings. With the picking pattern. Very good, do that with me. And in context. Final chord we have starts with our ring finger on the 9th fret of the D string, our pinky on the 9th fret of our G, and then our first finger bars across the 7th fret of our B and high E strings. Like that. Do that with me. Now the whole chorus will sound like this. Do that with me. That, my friends, is the chorus. Moving on, we have this little transitional solo between the chorus and the second verse. First little piece we slide up to the 14th fret of our D string with our ring finger. We then immediately hit the 12th fret of that same string. And the third note we have is the 14th fret of the A string. Those three notes are the motif of this solo. You then play those three again. This time hitting the 14th fret of your A string twice. So, like that. So then you do it a third time. So do that with me. You then do that a third time, but then it changes. Right here, we hit the 14th fret one more time. Then you slide it up to the 15th fret. Hit the 15th fret again. And you won't believe you actually hit it a third time too. And this time followed by the 12th fret of the A string. So far. Like that. And then you hit the 15th fret of your low E string, 14th fret of your low E string, and the 12th fret of your low E string. So that last one will be like that. So far we have do that with me. One more time. So you hang there for a second, and then we have this little switch up. So to do that, you're going to hit the 14th fret of your D string, then to the 12th of your G, to the 14th of your G. But that G is cut short because we're going to hit it again, this time bending it upwards and back down. So far. Do that with me. Good. So then we hit the 12th fret of our G string again, and then the 14th of the same string one more time. Back to the 12th. Like that. So, and then the next one is the 14th fret of your D, and finally the 12th of the D. Like that. Do that with me. One more time. Then you have that little motif again, and one more time. And then we actually have just two notes left, that being the 10th fret of your A string, and then the 9th fret. The whole thing being do that with me. Great, so now the second verse is actually quite different from the first. We have chords. The first of which is an E minor chord, but we're going to play the E minor chord differently this time. We're going to play the bar chord version of an E minor chord. To do that, you're going to place your first finger on the 7th fret of your A string. Then your third finger on the 9th fret of your D. Your pinky on the 9th fret of your G. And your middle finger on the 8th fret of your B. That is an E minor chord. The strumming pattern for that is a root note down, up, down, like this. And then we travel on over down to a D major chord. To play a D major chord, we will place our first finger on the 5th fret of our A string. Then we bar across the D, G, and B strings on the 7th fret. Same strumming pattern. Thirdly, we have a C major chord where we will be barring across the 8th fret of all of our strings with our index finger. Our third finger goes onto the 10th fret of our A string, our pinky on the 10th fret of our D string, and our middle finger on the 9th fret of our G string. And then we have a B major chord, which is our last chord. For the B major, we're just going to slide that down one fret. This entire shape stays exactly the same. You just slide your whole hand down one fret. So your first finger should be barring across the 7th fret of all your strings. Your third finger and pinky fingers on the 9th fret of the A and D strings respectively. And then your middle finger should be on the 8th fret of your G string. So the second verse will sound like this. Great, so that's what you play for the second verse and actually the second pre-chorus as well. Great, so that's what you play for the second verse and actually the second pre-chorus as well. That drops you into a second chorus, which is exactly the same as the previous chorus, but then we get into the bridge. The bridge starts with our good friend, the E minor, and then we go on over to a G major, which is like the C major shape if you just slide it down so that your first finger is barring across the 3rd fret of all of your strings. Your 3rd finger should be on the 5th fret of your A string, your pinky finger on the 5th fret of your D string, and your middle finger on the 4th fret of your G string. That's a G major. Then we slide up to an A major chord, which is just this, slid up 2 more frets. And then finally, we have a B major chord, which we already did. So, cool, so the strumming pattern for that is a down, 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 up, which happens twice per chord, like this. Now if I play that with all of the chords, that's the first piece of the bridge. You then get into this like transitional section in between the 2 bridges, if you want to look at it that way. Regardless, there's effectively 2 bridges in this song, and there's this like short transitional instrumental piece in between them, and that's what I'm going to show you. You start on that E minor chord, and you pick E, A, B, G, D, G. That with me? Then you travel on over to an A minor and you pick A, D, B, G, D, G. Do that with me? Thirdly, a C major chord, which you pick just the same as the A minor. And lastly, a B major. This time we just play the B major chord like this. Like that, so the whole thing being... Strum it out. Do that with me once. And that gets us into the second bridge thingy. This is very similar to the second verse. You start on an E minor chord up here on the 7th fret of your A string. And you strum it the same too, just like that. And then right after the E minor, we go to an A minor kind of chord, which this one we're going to play with our ring finger on the 7th fret of our D string. And then we're going to bar across the 5th fret of our G, B, and high E strings, just like the 3rd chord in the chorus. But what we're going to do is we're going to pick the A string as our root note. That. Then you go to the C major chord we learned earlier. And then finally to the B major. Same strumming pattern throughout. That's the second bridge. Play that with me. Do that with me. We then have a double chorus, which both of those choruses at the end are the same as their previous counterparts, and then an outro where you just keep playing the chorus. They just don't sing anything over top of it, just keep playing the same instrumental piece. And then you land on the E minor chord, the first chord that we play in the chorus, this thing. And that is how you play Mr. Dr. Man. If you have a song request, shoot me a comment or a DM. If you wish to be notified of future videos, hit the bell. I sincerely hope that you are well. Please do me a favor and hit that like button blue. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe too. I hope this video has been a blessing. You've been watching Logan's Lessons.